Hi everyone, my name is Danny and I do all types of YouTube videos. If you haven't watched, oh, okay, I just wanted to time this video so that just to make sure that I can keep track of time, that the video doesn't go on too long. Okay, so yeah, so like I said, my name is Danny, and I do all types of videos. Um, um, if you haven't watched my previous video, I reviewed Star Wars episodes 4, 5, and 6. Um, I plan on watching and reviewing all 11 of the movies. My order of watching and reviewing will be to start at the original trilogy, then the prequel trilogy, then the sequel trilogy, then Rogue One and Solo. Um, so in this video, I will review episodes 1, 2, and 3, which I watched in a 2-day period, ending yesterday. So I always say this, but whenever I make these types of videos, I've kind of had to. By the way, that light is sort of a weird light. It goes on and off, but I think it's okay with the lighting that there is now, and it should pop in a few seconds either. But like I said, I think we're good with the lighting that there is right now. Um, and I was just saying that when I make these types of videos, I just learned that through experience that they can be hard. Whereas, like if you don't prepare for the video, where if you come unprepared, you'll end up finding out later on after you watch it that there's a lot of stuff that you forgot to put in, that you missed, or the organization of what you want to say, or the content isn't really in a good and even flowing order, or that type of thing. Therefore, in order to avoid all of that, just like any type of thing like this, it's always better to write it down beforehand so that you can prepare all of your thoughts and your contents, and not only so that you don't forget, like I said, so that when you're speaking, it just it's more coherent. It's more of a good flow. So I apologize sometimes if I'm looking down at my notes, but I just wanted you guys to know that that's what I'm doing. Um, okay. Oh, and like I said in my video before, I'm a big Star Wars fan. That's why in the back here you have the logo says right here, it's Star Wars: The Force Awakens, and right here I have my Darth Vader toy, and actually I know this because it does work. You press a button, and with the actual Darth Vader voice, he usually says, um, "I am your father. Together we will um, dominate or own the galaxy," something like that, right? But there's like batteries in there, and the batteries, for some reason, the batteries burn out very, very quickly. And so one of these days, I'll go to the store and buy batteries, and one of these days, in one of these future videos, I'll let you hear that voice. But for now, it's nice to look at. But like I said, sometime later on, you'll be able to hear the voice when I buy the batteries. So like I said, I'm just going to review the prequel, and in my previous video, I explain all about like my background to the Star Wars franchise and my connections to it, all that type of thing. So I don't want to go over that all again. So you can see sort of where my angle lies. But like, I mean, I do have the bias where I am a big fan, right? So that's a perspective that I'm going into this. All right, so let's just jump right into it. So um, so before watching the prequel, I had my biases due to all of the criticisms of this prequel. Many people were disappointed, especially due to the great amount of CGI, right? The computer generated imagery, all that computer stuff that they put in movies. Um, One must remember that the core fan base was from the 1977 to 1983 era, where fans fell in love with the storylines and George Lucas's great attention to detail, including the many handcrafted figures. In my opinion, those were the key features to the success of the original trilogy. Um, the only viewings the only viewings I have seen of the prequel are the occasional small clips on television, but I think really that's a big problem. Watching only isolated clips will give a viewer a false impression that the whole movie is CGI based, which is really not. What I found, especially after watching all three of the prequel movies, is that it's important to watch. It's important to watch all the prequel movies from the start all the way to the finish. By doing so, the movie will make. By doing so, the movie will make complete sense, and the CGI will be appreciated as an important piece of the movies. In 1999, when Episode 1 was released, there was no way a filmmaker could deny the use of high technology in a Hollywood film. I watch all movies with an interest in new innovations. I was very impressed and very satisfied with that in this prequel. The new droids, animals, villains, vehicles, costume design, architecture, and so forth were just amazing to me. The new lightsabers with the new villains and the duels were very exciting to me. I think producing a prequel I think producing a prequel is much more difficult than a sequel. But the way George Lucas slowly connected the eras was gratifying. Like when you saw in episode 3 the Death Star and those 1977 uniforms again, it was very nostalgic. But difficult, difficult though. For example, when Darth Vader was being built and put into a suit with the functions and appearances of a 1977 film, although that film was released in 2005. Well, it's difficult to make movies which include audiences with such a large demographic. Age, for example, in these movies could start really as early as 6 years old. Enter characters like Jar Jar Binks, which is a somewhat required character for that demographic of age. But in my opinion, was just too much in episode one. Same thing, I believe, for C3PO in the beginning, in my opinion. I really enjoyed Samuel Jackson and in the movies. Jimmy Smith's portrayed Jimmy Smith's portrayal of Bail Organa, a senator of Alderalzo, was unknown to me as how he would later fit into the original trilogy. However, um, next for me was next for me was um, the, the term younglings. The term younglings was introduced, but unknown to me. I looked it up, and it describes young children beginning their training to become Jedi's. In episode three, in episode three, in the scene in which Anakin lights his saber in front of the younglings, it was obvious to me that their murder was to come. However, there was confusion in a later scene in which Obi-Wan states he saw Anakin kill younglings in the security holograph. However, in the security holograph, I did not see Anakin kill the younglings. So, if you remember in the movie where they do show the actual security holograph, and it does show, Anakin kill, two regular sized people, right? But I'm quite sure that there was no killing of in that holograph where he was killing the younglings, right? And so I don't know, like, it's just really confusing to me. So it's hard for me to understand, like, if, like, they had to censor it because it's a Hollywood movie or that type of thing. But I think they could have done better there. A part of the storyline that I found weak and outdated was one of George Lucas's reasons as to why Anakin switched to the dark side. As I do, as I do believe it was in, as I do believe it was an uttermost challenge to come up with how to transition a sympathetic character like Anakin into an evil character. Definitely difficult to figure out how to do that. So, so George Lucas comes up with the idea. So George Lucas comes up with the main idea that Anakin must switch to the dark side in order that Padme not die during her childbirth. This is ridiculous to me as well as confusing, as the reason for Padme's death was never given. It is suggested the dark side somehow had the power beforehand to somehow kill her. As well, to suggest that Anakin, after having switched to the dark side, would then somehow have the power to save her life at childbirth is beyond believable, as well as confusing. This seems to be a very this seems to be a very old storyline which needed to be altered but never was, unfortunately. I do agree that episode 3 had to end with the death. Sorry, I agree that episode 3 had to end with the demise of Anakin and the rising of Darth Vader and the birth of Luke and Leia. However, in doing so, there was no explanation as to how Leia became a princess in the Rebel Alliance, where New Hope begins. Yeah. Um, so in general, I was definitely quite happy and satisfied with the prequels. And that's really all I have. That's 14 minutes. I don't really want it to go any longer than this. I just wanted to make sure I didn't miss anything here. So, yeah, so in summary, I think that in summary, it's definitely much more difficult to make a prequel than a sequel, especially when the real time dates are so far apart. There's definitely people that are not going to be happy, right? Especially when you have that original fan base, like I said, that was almost like 20 years apart, right? Um, and um, before watching, the prequels, when you hear the critics or the reviewers or people in general saying that they were very disappointed with the first three, you know, and it's very hard for you to ignore that, and especially, I think a lot of people, like I just said, they just because a lot of those movies are on television, and a lot of the times, for me anyways, when things appear on TV, you don't really you just turn on the TV and then they're almost like half finished, right? And so you either watch them from you know halfway through, or because you're home and you're not really ready to be watching them, you're washing your dishes, or you're in the middle of vacuuming or eating, and then you only watch clips, right? So like I said, like when you watch these clips, and then you see these scenes that have that CGI, right? It's easy for you to think, oh well, it's all of this movie, just a whole computer animation, but it's really not really like that. I think that you know those movies, right? Like I said, when because they were released from in 1999, 2002, 2005. Um, that was still like a booming time in technology, and people did really want to see that. So there was no way that George Lucas could go back in time and say, "I'm sticking to this old school format," right? And for people like me that like to see, like I said, innovation and new stuff, and new robots, and new settings and new characters, you know, I was very satisfied with that, right? Like, there's no, for a lot of those scenes, which were great and impressive, there's no way that one could possibly handcraft like all of those different models and vehicles, and really those cities, right? I mean, it's so magnificent to see like what you would think is almost like a city, a city of the future, like the Jetsons, right? Except the Jetsons was still nostalgic and so popular, but it was only a cartoon, right? Where it's so impressive to be able to watch like a city like that, but with realistic conditions. But there's no way to possibly, like I said, like handcraft every single vehicle and building, and all of that. And to be able to see such a city is not only so futuristically impressive, but to think that at one point, like how a city could somehow look like that, where we still have the traditional building types, but you see these crafts just flying around everywhere, and it just looks so much cleaner, right? Um, so much more cleaner, and less dense, and less um, crowded than today's cities, and that type of thing. So yeah, so I was pretty happy with that. So like I said, so right now, at this point, um, because I really haven't watched any of the movies except for since I've been doing this, and so because I just watched episodes 1, 2, and 3, and before that, I watched episodes 4, 5, and 6. So now I'm going to be um, watching what they call here is I want to get this terminology right for you guys. It's better to speak the right proper Star Wars terms. So yeah, so now I'm going to go and watch what they call the sequel trilogy, right? So that's The Force Awakens, The Last Jedi, and then The Rise of Skywalker. So after I watch those three movies, I'll pretty much be caught up, and then I'll probably do another one of these reviews, and then at that point, the only ones left are the standalone films, Rogue One and Solo, and I'll watch those later on after I finish the saga series, right? I'll watch those. Those are the last movies that I'll watch. Which will be Rogue One and Solo, and I'll probably do another YouTube video on what my thoughts are about those two. So I just wanted to end this video here and say, as always, thanks a lot for watching this video. Thanks for watching all my YouTube videos. And for those of you who are new here, make sure that you subscribe. So click on that subscribe button, hit on the notification bell. There's, I believe, 3 levels of notification. Click on the one that says all so that you get all of my notifications, so you'll know exactly when I post. So you'll know exactly when I post a new video, and so by the time you watch it, it won't be outdated. All right, I believe that's it. So thank you for watching, and may the Force be with you. Peace out.